So the United States just arrested Nicolás Maduro, and everybody's up in arms about it. Some folks are saying it's not America first. Democrats are saying that it's illegal. Well, let's talk about what this actually means and the importance and why this matters for U.S. global dominance. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome to the Shermichael Singleton Show. I'm your host, Shermichael Singleton, and I'm sure you've seen the news. Nicolás Maduro, he is now in a prison along with his wife in New York or outside of New York on American soil. President Donald Trump sent in our military to support DEA agents to arrest Nicolás Maduro, who's been a thorn not only in our side, but in the side of many other countries in our hemisphere. Well, that is now over, at least for now. Now, look, there's a lot of complexities to this. What does this mean since we have left the vice president in charge in Venezuela? There are a lot of other individuals appointed by Maduro who are still in power. Does this mean the sea is exactly changing over, the tide turning over? We don't know yet. The days, weeks, and months ahead will be very critical. But what we do know is that this was important. And there are a lot of people out there who are saying, well, Donald Trump said that this was about drugs, and now he's saying it's about this or about that. This is what it's about, in my opinion, maintaining U.S. global dominance. So let me walk you through this for a second, because I think a lot of people are missing what this national security strategy is actually all about. You keep hearing some people, again, on our side, even people like Tucker Carlson, saying this isn't America first because he said Maduro was conservative, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. Like that's some kind of insult by saying that this isn't America first. Well, it is. That reaction, in my opinion, only makes sense if you buy into the idea that Washington believed for a long time, the idea that I would argue turned out to be wrong. And that is that you could just place sanctions on Maduro and that would be enough. Well, that was not enough. We saw Iran partnering with Venezuela, Russia spending billions of dollars over about a decade to strengthen ties with Venezuela, to be a thorn in our side. And then the Chinese, who actually had diplomats there just hours before Maduro was arrested. So for decades, we were told that American freedom existed because the rest of the world admires us. But you hear that from some people. I don't think that's true, though. The rest of the world, maybe they admire certain aspects of American culture and society. Some politicians have said if we were generous enough, open enough, patient enough, the world would take care of us in return. And that sounds nice. But here's the harsh reality. It's just not true. The freedom that you and I enjoy in this country doesn't exist because our enemies think we're good people. It exists because they know exactly what happens if they cross us. It exists because American power, economic power, military power, technological power has always drawn very clear lines around what others are allowed to do. And the world, however imperfect it may be, is better for it. And that's why it was important to remove Nicolás Maduro. The United States must not allow adversaries, Iran, Russia, China being the greatest threat, we must not allow those adversaries to meddle in our own backyard. We cannot have non-hemispheric competitors going around us. China uses small countries, Russia uses small countries, Iran uses small countries to skirt and go around U.S. sanctions. China to great effect, Russia to great effect. So you have to understand how crucial this is. Trump mentioned oil. A lot of critics are saying, oh, that's so terrible. But it's not terrible. Our power, our freedom, our supremacy as a nation is indeed tied to the stability of the United States being able to control the world's oil reserves, whether that's directly or indirectly. Look up the petrodollar. Most oil around the globe is sold in U.S. dollar. Why? Because the U.S. dollar is supreme. There is stability with the U.S. dollar. It's easy to trade the U.S. dollar. The U.S. Navy protects shipping routes, which what does that do in return? It protects the stability of oil going to and from. And so the United States being able to control a sizable portion of the world's oil supply sends a signal not only to Russia and China, but also to the Middle East that we're not going to be as reliant upon you as we have been in the past. It sends a message to the Chinese, not only because about 8% of their oil they got from Venezuela, but also because Venezuela has one of the largest rare earth minerals reserves outside of Africa. We have imported about 70% of those minerals once they go through the refinement process from the Chinese. We need to lower that. That's a national security risk and threat. I mean, these are very real things. And so when people say this isn't America first or that this is wrong, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. This strategy matters. And it's about damn time that somebody's saying it out loud. The world, and this may rub some people the wrong way, but the world is not governed by how you feel. It's not. That's not reality, folks. The world is governed by power, whether you like it or not. And you're going to hear some people giving these great benevolent speeches about, this is the United States sort of throwing its weight around, or you'll hear from some people, as I have seen on social media, this is a great military power being imperialist. That crap may sound good in an academic setting, but let me tell you something. China doesn't hold back because it respects our values. Russia doesn't make decisions based on our esoteric speeches. Iran, cartels, hostile actors, they're not asking whether something is fair because some politician made a speech. They're asking one thing only: who in the hell will stop us? And right now, that's been the United States. I'm not saying that every decision we've made has been perfect, but do you think your life would be great if Russia led the world? Now, Russia is a declining former empire, so that's unlikely to happen. But do you think your life would be great if the Chinese ran the world? Do you really fundamentally believe that? Because that won't be the case. So the foundation of our strategy in this case, and must always be as we move forward, is peace through strength, not peace through applause or through appeasement. Now, when people sneer and say, well, this is not America first, or this is not what America should be doing by going into this country, I simply say, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Because every serious country on earth puts itself first. China does, Russia does, and so does Iran. And if those countries are allowed to move forward in a way that puts their dominance before us, the world's order is going to be worse off as a result. Because again, despite our imperfections, we're not a perfect nation. The world is absolutely better off led by a free society as opposed to one that's not free at all. The only country that's been told over and over and over again that it's selfish for doing that is the United States. But again, we're not. And look at the results of that mindset of people who say that, the critics on the left and the critics on the right. Our industrial base is hollowed out, borders weakened, military readiness was stretched thin until the past year. We were making ourselves dependent on adversaries for energy, for medicine, and for supply chains that should never have left our control. And it's about time that the United States says that this is a strategy that we can follow no more. It is effectively the Monroe Doctrine. It says that America will stop subsidizing its own vulnerability just to make other people comfortable. It says that our allies are important to us, but they also have to carry some of the weight as well. And our allies said, hey, we're willing to do that because we don't want China coming knocking on our doors. And it says to our adversaries that you don't get to embed yourself in our hemisphere, in our infrastructure, in our economy without consequences. That is an America first, an American realistic strategy. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't like to admit. When America is strong, the world is more stable. That's a fact. And when America pulls back, power vacuums form. And history tells us exactly who fills those vacuums. It's Russia. It's Iran. It's China. And it's never better for anybody because now you have Russia invading a sovereign country. You're seeing what Iran was doing until the United States decided to step in. And China has, made some interesting remarks about wanting to invade and take control of Taiwan. I think it's what will the U.S. do that has stopped them from doing that. But we have seen what the result has been with Russia when previous administrations withdrew. We can't do that. Our freedom, my freedom, your freedom to speak, to move, to build a life wasn't handed to us by the international community. It was earned. It was defended. And it's being preserved by strength. Whether some people out there want to acknowledge it or not. And let me be clear about something else, because this gets twisted all the freaking time. This strategy going into Venezuela, taking out Maduro, isn't about war. It's about deterrence. It's not about domination necessarily, but it's about balance. And it's not about forcing other countries to necessarily be like us, although we have seen when societies are freer, they prosper. It's about demanding that the United States of America and its interests are maintained. That's why it talks about supply chains, about industrial capacity, about energy dominance, about military readiness. Because you can't defend freedom with speeches alone. You defend it with leverage. And the uncomfortable truth for all the critics out there is this: the world is safer when America is confident. The world is safer when America is capable. The world is safer when the United States of America is unapologetic about protecting itself, its interests, and its allies. This strategy isn't about being liked. Who cares if our adversaries like us? It's about being taken serious. If you mess around, you will find out. Simple as that. And the reason Americans are free today isn't because our enemies admire us. They probably envy us, to be quite frank. It's because they know the cost of challenging the United States is far higher than the reward. That isn't about being arrogant. That's about telling the damn truth. And so, yes, when Donald Trump says it's a little bit about drugs, maybe it is a little bit about that. But from my perspective, this is what it's really about. It's about getting our adversaries out of our hemisphere. It's about structurally weakening Russia, further declines within Iran, which we've seen protests increase there over the past couple of days against the Ayatollah. And it's also about, and most principally about, weakening China. They are our greatest adversary. And you know what? We need to control the oil as well. Because the petrodollar, look it up, is a very real thing. But China is our systemic rival. And we cannot allow them to have military installations, logistics, hubs, strategic resource control. Because if we do, the Chinese will continue to expand. And it not only puts the freedoms that we enjoy at risk, but it does for the rest of the world. And again, this is America first. This is in our interest to have the United States lead. Because I am telling you, and people think that this is a joke, if it is China, who doesn't share any of our values, that gets to dictate the global order, if it's the Chinese who ends up being the world's backup currency, what do you think that means for you? This is a serious question. But what do you think this means for the prosperity of your children and grandchildren if the dollar is devalued because the petrodollar is no longer in existence? Because now it's the yen that becomes the reserve currency and also the trading currency for oil. What do you think it means if the United States Navy is no longer the one protecting, stabilizing the seaports and seaways, but that becomes the Chinese? Imagine if the Chinese manage and protected the shipping lanes. What obligation would anyone have to the United States? The $20+ trillion economy that we have would disappear overnight. You think things are hard now? You have no idea how hard things would be if China led the globe. That's what this is about here, people. So say whatever you want to say about Donald Trump, but we needed to do this. Now, look, we do need to know what the hell is going to come next. It's not enough to just take out Maduro, but it's leaving his vice president and everybody else in charge. Because do we really believe that those people are not going to continue working with Russia, Iran, and China at some point? Yeah, of course they will. And so we have to at some point remove them too. Now, I don't know if that should be an abrupt process or a process that takes place over time. That's something that we must figure out. But you can't just take out the head of the snake, but leave everything else there and just presume that things are going to magically change. That's just not enough. Otherwise, the question legitimately will be, well, what was the point of even taking him out at all if you're going to leave all of his pansies in the same positions? It just doesn't make any sense. And so we need to do this. It's important that we do this. I know people don't like it, but the world is better off when America leads first. It will not be better for any of us if it is the Chinese. And I think people discard how important what I'm saying really is. People say, well, you shouldn't dominate other countries. Are you stupid enough to think that if the United States completely withdraws, that another country won't spread its dominance? Do you really believe that? And what's to stop that other country from doing it, if not us? And so this is a fundamental question. Do you rather and prefer our values leading the global order, or do you prefer the values of Russia, China, and Iran? It is that simple. And if you're stupid enough to say we shouldn't do anything and we should get out of other people's business, then you lack the wisdom to understand what will occur when the vacuum is there because America decided to wipe its hands with the rest of the world. It's not a world you want to live in. It's not a world I want to live in. And I promise you, we would all come to regret it. I'm Shermichael Singleton. This is the Shermichael Singleton Show. Thanks for watching. Drop your comments below. Share this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. God bless.